can't begin to tell you how excited I've been to play Kenna, Bridge of Spirits. Games involving bridges are a relatively unpopulated genre, mostly occupied by the likes of Bridge Constructor and Bridge Constructor Portal. I love both of these bridge building games, so I'm truly curious on this new adaptation, which I assume will involve spirits manning a bridge of some sort. You'll understand my disappointment then when I launched the game for the first time, only to learn that the game has nothing to do with bridge building at all, but instead it was a story about the battle between light and darkness within a world centering on you, the player, as Kenna, a spirit guide wielding a magical staff passed down to her from former spirit guides. The game introduces the main antagonist pretty early on as well, who is presumably the leader of the village where all these spirits are being corrupted. This leader, however, has a twisted moral compass, believing that the darkness that they were spreading as part of their master plan was somehow the best way to save the world from the corruption of evil. Wait a minute. That's the plot of Kingdom Hearts. Regardless, this man is but a diversion from the real villain of the game. That's right, the children. But I digress. In Kenna, Bridge of Spirits, corrupted souls are represented by the colour red. They wear the spirit masks of their fallen people. Likewise, positive spirit energy is associated with the colour blue, and important collectibles like rot are associated with the colour purple. Speaking of the rot, they act as your companions throughout the game, and assist you with basic tasks like moving rocks and puzzle solving. They also have no business being this freaking adorable. Not only are they the cutest companions to ever exist in a video game, as you go about the world you can find hats for them to wear. Safe to say, this became my primary goal through my playthrough. I'm sorry, Corrupted Forest, but I want this tiny black fuzzy ball to wear a broken pot on its head. Combat in Kenna is pretty basic, but overall quite enjoyable. You have a light attack, you have a heavy attack, you have a dodge roll, and you have a guard, which has incredibly annoying timing, so your best bet is to just perpetually dodge roll. There are also combat combinations that you can unlock, most of which involve your rot amplifying the attack in some way through a button combination. Later on in the game it also gives you a bow ability, which is amazing, but in reality melee is the way to go for 90% of the combat. I found the best overall approach to combat is the Eren Yeager school of punching things before they've rendered in. The true star of the show, however, is not the graphics. Well, it kind of is, but more so the way that the world is built to encourage exploration. There's plenty of corners to explore, to find hidden loot, shiny blue things to shoot, rocks to move, tears of the forest to help clear away the corruption. My personal favourite are these giant flowers which yoink you up to new areas when you shoot them with your bow. Also, truth be told, it was a really nice feeling to look around and have to figure out where I've got to go using my brain for once. A lot of newer games do a little too much hand-holding for my liking. I'm looking at you, Pokemon. Well, that or they go the complete opposite direction with everyone's least favourite 2 words, open world. Like, okay, we get it, Breath of the Wild was a good game, but if you remove the amount of time spent running from A to B with barely anything to do in between, it would have been a hell of a lot more interesting. But there I go, digressing again. So, back to the world design. There's something beautiful and unique about running through such a verdant set. I was idly exploring the world and getting lost in the beauty, much like I did when I played Kingdom Hearts 3 for the first time and I got to the Kingdom of Corona. But it was at this point that my PTSD kicked in and I started to hear the unending repetition of "This might be a good spot to find some ingredients." Okay, I'll stop drawing parallels between Kingdom Hearts and Kenna now, once I've spoken about the difficulty levels, that is. Most of the game you can literally spam light attacks, heavy attacks with a few occasional dodge rolls, basically the same as your average playthrough of Kingdom Hearts. That is until you get to boss fights, where healing is limited to however many of these small flower things are around you. Also, your active courage meter gets emptied, so you have to deal damage to be able to use any of your fancy rot power combat mechanics. Overall, I quite like the balancing though, as I was able to focus more on the world and progression during the playthrough, and still have a decent enough challenge during the boss fights. I especially love the animations where the big boss is trying to rip the rot off their body before you stun them, or when you hit one of their weak points with your bow and they go skidding in the dirt. Overall, I think this game is fantastic, and graphically it genuinely felt like a truly next-generation title, and was the perfect stress test for my new RTX 3080. Compared to the stagnant, repeating, open-world RPGs we get too many of, I couldn't put this game down. I was entirely engulfed by the story and the world. All I wanted to do was just restore the forest and free the troubled spirits. And now that I've achieved that, I'm going to go play New World and begin my crusade of deforestation.